dating in your 30s, it's pretty sad that if a man approaches us at a bar, we have to ask him, are you single? Before we let him buy us a drink. Because buy us a drink as long as you're single. Here's how I learned that lesson. I went to Florida, and while I was in Florida, I went out to a music venue, and a really good looking guy, probably like mid 30s, 37, like around there, approached me, asked why I'm sitting by myself, I'm so beautiful, and he wanted to buy me a drink. I was like, yeah, sure. He wasn't wearing a ring. He was by himself, and he was a vibe. And so we spent all night like having drinks, laughing. He walked me back to my hotel. We hung out, we went in the pool, and then he walked me to the elevator, and then he left. I went upstairs, and I was like alone. Like, he didn't go back to the hotel room. But we exchanged phone numbers, and we spent the next day FaceTiming, talking on the phone a lot. I'm vegan, so I was just like showing him like all the vegan stuff I was doing, and he said he wants to take me out on a date the following night. So night number 1, we meet. Day number 2, we didn't see each other. I went out alone that night and ventured out in the city. And then the third night, he wanted to meet me. He said he had a present for me, and he took me out for drinks. So we met early. It was like 4 p.m. And like way later into the night, I asked him, so do you live alone? Because I personally just like a guy who's independent, doesn't have roommates, doesn't live with family, no surprises, right? I like a guy who doesn't answer to anyone. So I asked him, do you live alone? He said, no, I live with my wife and kid. I was like, oh, that's real funny. Because this guy had a like comical personality and he would joke a lot. He's like, I wish I were joking. I wish that were the case. And so I get into this like argument with him. I'm like, I can't believe that you would approach me and exchange numbers with me and like all of this stuff. And he said that he feels single, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's just not okay. And so we get into this like long dragged out argument. And I'm like, let's just finish the drinks we have and then go separate ways. And so we went separate ways after we finished our drink. And I carried on with my time away while I was out of town. But when I got back home to Buffalo, New York, I'm out, I'm sitting at a bar. It was late. I was pretty buzzed. I had probably had like 2 or 3 drinks. And a guy comes and sits next to me. He looked like he was like 42. He had longish hair. He sits next to me and he's like, why are you by yourself? And I was like, I'm just hanging out. He's like, let me get you a drink. I look at his hand. I couldn't see if he had a ring on. I said, are you single? He pulls his hand out. He says, no, I'm married, but we can be friends. I can get you a drink as a friend. And I said, I'll pass. Sorry. Thanks anyways. He's like, I can be your wingman. And I was like, why? Just why? And now, leading up to this story I'm about to tell you, leading up to the next story I'm about to tell you in part 2, actually, just look for my next video.